Welcome to the Mint Door podcast with Dr. Karen Tyndall and Dr. Laura Schwint.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Mint Door podcast, your sanctuary where high achievers and dental professionals navigate the journey from burnout to brilliance. Today, we're not just sharing insights and stories, we're extending an invitation to something extraordinary, our Mint Julep newsletter.
Imagine this, a weekly pick-me-up delivered directly to your inbox, crafted to leave you feeling refreshed and inspired. The Mint Julep is your moment of refreshment, a virtual oasis in the hustle and bustle of daily life. It's like meeting a go-to friend who always knows just what to say to lift your spirits and fuel your drive.
Each edition of the Mint Julep is a blend of inspiration, positivity, and a light-hearted, fun-loving attitude, carefully curated to help you maximize life's little joys. Picture it as your weekly virtual happy hour, a place where you can unwind, reflect, and rejuvenate, all while being part of a community that understands and shares your aspirations.
So why wait for the weekend to enjoy a Mint Julep? Join us and let's celebrate growth, resilience, and the endless pursuit of happiness in every week. Subscribe to the Mint Julep weekly newsletter today, and let's raise our glasses to living a more inspired, joyful life. Here's to maximizing your life's little joys, one Mint Julep at a time. Cheers.
So, Dr. Suzanne Ebert is the VP of Dental Professional Career Services at the American Dental Association. She leads the vision to provide an end-to-end career experience, delivering resources, tools, and guidance for dentists along every stage of their journey.
Before joining the ADA, Dr. Ebert's career took her through starting and selling a solo practice, serving as adjunct faculty and extramural rotation director, and serving as the dental director at a federally qualified health center. She's a strong advocate for the profession and is passionate about providing dentists with the tools they need to make the decisions that are right for them.
So let's welcome Dr. Ebert to the Mint Door podcast without delay. So we are super excited to have Dr. Suzanne Ebert with us here today on the Mint Door podcast. And Dr. Suzanne Ebert, you're from the ADA, and we were just talking before we press record, so we're going to come back to this because it was a really interesting topic about why membership of the ADA is so important for all dentists.
Well, I'm so glad that we were able to have that conversation. I'm telling you, the ADA, number one, is very invested right now in providing dentists with the resources that they need in order to be successful throughout their careers, right? That includes a whole host of wellness, and quite frankly, they have substance abuse seminars and wellness resources that are incredibly important to our dentists. But then we also need to be cognizant of the fact that we as dentists need to protect our profession. If we don't have a certain percentage of dentists as members of the association, we're going to lose our voice at the national level. And at that point, we are not going to be able to talk about insurance reform, which we are actively pursuing right now. We're not going to be able to talk about things like controlling tuition and tuition reimbursement and access to care issues. If we don't have a high percentage of our dentists as actual members, we lose that opportunity. So although it is incredibly important for us as the association to be looking at how do we provide concrete and interesting services and products to our dentists at every stage of their career, which is where we're focused, we also, as dentists and as a profession, need to understand that we have a responsibility to be a part of the voice for change.
Yeah. Where does the membership percentage sit at the moment for US dentists?
Right now, we're hovering right around 60%. So if that number drops, and if we were to say that it were to drop below 50%, we really lose a huge, very strong voice. So we have to be aware of that.
Yeah, that, you bring up some really good topics as far as, the more people you have, the more your voice matters. And I'm curious too, as far as the ADA goes, as we sit here speaking as 3 women dentists, what does the ADA provide as far as community for women dentists?
Well, we have a number of different initiatives that are currently in flight. Some of them are really focused in on helping dentists in general, but women in particular, to navigate their careers. As we look to, somebody who's graduating from dental school, very often we don't really know where we fit. We don't really know what our options are. We're not exactly sure, okay, wait a minute, I've been told that this is what I should do. Who can I talk to? Who can I have a conversation with that's going to help me to figure out what's really right for me? And where am I going to find those resources? Well, I'm happy to say that at the ADA, we have what we're calling kind of career guidance sessions. We'll literally do a one-on-one discussion with a dentist, a student, whatever, and help them to kind of figure out, okay, what's important to me, so that I can take that and figure out where I fit the best. And we also have mentor resources through the ADA member app. There's a chat feature that literally will hook you up with a mentor if you like. So finding that person, finding that community, we can do it as long as you reach out. Let us know what you need, and I can pretty much tell you that we're going to find a way to deliver it to you.
That's fantastic. And I love the chat feature. So many people are familiar with chat, and that's an easy way to get a start on that. Super fun. So I'm curious about your navigation through your dental career. You have started, ran, and sold a private practice successfully. And so I'm interested in what advice you have with that background and your background in the ADA for other dentists that are going through any number of those transitions of starting, buying, running, or selling.
I think it all comes back to what I was saying earlier, is understanding what's important to you. And then having that vision to say, okay, this is my vision. It's not somebody else's, it's mine. And then it really helps you to make the decisions that are going to be right for you. And I'm just going to give you an example from, of course, my personal experience, which is when I graduated from dental school, I had a very specific type of practice that I wanted to end up in. I had a very clear vision for what I wanted my practice to look like. I wrote it down. I kept it in front of me. I would look at it kind of on a daily basis. And when I got out of school, I did a GPR, and then I realized that in order to be true to my vision, I was going to have to start this practice from scratch. There was not one in the area that fit my personal vision. And I said, okay, well, if there's not one here, then I can either move or I can build it myself. I cannot tell you how many people told me you cannot do that. You cannot do that at this stage of your career. You're too young. You don't know enough. I said, I'm going to get the education. So I got the education. I didn't want to be beholden to somebody else's vision. I just didn't. So anyway, decided that I was going to start it myself. I did that. Did I sacrifice some things? Because starting up a dental practice when you're a younger dentist is not easy. The challenges were very interesting, but what I wanted for my life I wanted to have the ability to do what I had to do, which was my 7-year-old daughter sitting at the breakfast table who said, "Oh, Mom, we have a mommy and me program today at the school. It's at 11:30. All the moms are going to be there." And I knew that I had a fully packed schedule. So what did I do? I called Trish at the front desk. I said, "Who's on the schedule for 11:30? She said, "Mr. So-and-so." I said, "Here's what I need you to do. I need you to call Mr. So-and-so. I need you to send him a Ruth's Chris gift card, and you need to reschedule him for a time of his convenience. And that's the way we're going to handle this because I need to be at the school with my daughter." Did I sacrifice some financial upside because I chose to be a mom first and a dentist second? Probably. Was it well worth it? With my 2 beautiful, successful daughters and, going on 4 grandchildren and being a very present parent, it was worth it to me. And guess what? I did just fine financially. You make the decisions based on your needs. And if you do that and you're true to your own personal vision, I think it makes everything so much easier.
You bring up so many great points in that story. And thank you for sharing that personal story. Because I think it's those types of stories that we need to hear more of. Because I do think that there are so many people that weigh in on what your decisions and your vision is and try to steer you in a different direction. And I think that that is a recipe for burnout.
Mm-hmm. And it's a recipe for not being fulfilled. I mean, how can you be fulfilled if you are driving towards somebody else's vision of the future?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to have a sounding board, being able to have somebody to talk to, being able to have a voice out there that's saying, "Hey, it's okay."
Mm-hmm.
It's okay if you. I never like having somebody say, I can't. I can't own a practice. I can't do this because XYZ, thinking, well, is that truly accurate? Take a little bit of time. And I think as women, sometimes maybe we think we have to do everything on our own. I don't know if you guys remember, I do being at home as a as a young child or a young woman or young girl saying, here's this commercial on TV that says I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan, and never ever let you forget your pan. I could sing it, but that would be really bad. I mean, it instilled, I think, in me and maybe in my generation a little bit this feeling of I have to do it all. I have to do everything on my own. And finding that community, engaging with others who are in the same spot, not even somebody who's in the same position you are, maybe somebody who's been in that position. And again, I'm going to go back to it, and this is something that I wish I would have done more of as a solo practitioner, was engaging with my local dental community. I didn't really do that until I sold my practice and ended up in a public health type situation where I found that I needed that community to help me achieve my goals for those clinics. Mm-hmm. That's when I started engaging with the Dental Association. I wish I would have done it a little bit earlier because my goodness, what a wonderful resource they have been. And one of my dear friends, we just had a couple glasses of wine the other night, we got together and we bounce ideas off of each other and we're there to support each other.
Mm. That's awesome. When you speak of your clear vision that you wrote down, and then how you really stayed true to your values with your kids and being a mom, did you have a mentor or someone as a sounding board, or did you just have this inside of you? Were you just built this way?
I am not sure how to answer that. maybe a little bit of both, probably.
Mhm.
There was a certain part of me, I think, that's always been kind of driven towards, here's what I want. And not that life doesn't happen frequently, and you have to change that. You have to be open to changing it. But I think at each transition point in my career, I've had to take the time to take a step back and say, okay, what is it that I am driving towards over the next, 1, 3, or 5 years?
Mhm.
And make sure that I'm staying true to myself. I also had, my stepfather was an oral surgeon, and although he wasn't thrilled with some of my decisions, he was always supportive of them. And my mother, strongest woman I've ever met in my life. I mean, she's just the strongest woman
Mhm.
that I've ever known, and hands down continues to be the strongest woman I have ever had the privilege of being associated with. So, yeah.
So the message is that mentorship, whether that's from, in your case, some family members that have mentored you and other people in dental associations that have been supportive. And I want to come back to what you said earlier on, because you spoke about that the ADA has a way that you can find a mentor if you're looking for a mentor. Now, for those people who maybe have never used a mentor, found a mentor, how does it work to establish that relationship? Like, what happens when you meet your mentor? Where does it go? Because I guess for some people, this is a new idea.
I'm glad you asked that, because that is something that is really difficult, I think, to answer in a very short statement. And the reason it's difficult is because mentorship means different things to different people. So, for example, I had the privilege of speaking at a dental school recently, and a young lady came up afterwards, and she was struggling with some things. And I said, okay, that I'm going to give you my phone number, and let's just start a conversation. So we are in active conversations, and she needs my input right now, but she may not need somebody like me in a year, and that's okay. I also get a number of doctors who just need a single, hey, let's have a touch base, let's figure out where I am. Are there things that you can help me with? Absolutely, sure. It's a one-off, it's a one-time thing. So mentorship just means different things to different people. For some people, it's a career-long association. My friend from the dental association, who quite frankly is the person who, you look at it, you look at your phone and you say, oh, there she is. Look out, I'm going to get engaged to do something. We're always she's going to get me signed up for something. We've had a 20-year relationship. It's just, mentorship is so different. Everybody is different. Everybody needs something different. Sometimes it's a one-off. Sometimes it's a chat. Sometimes it's a 3-month thing. And then for others, it's a career-long issue. So it's really defining what you want from the mentor association is step number one.
Mm-hmm.
So first define what you want from it, and then you can start finding the right resources. If it's literally that you want a career-long association, then I would say you're probably going to meet them at a dental meeting. You're probably going to form a relationship with somebody who's near you, to your community, who's solving some of the same problems and at the same career stage that you are at. So then you can have that back and forth. Certainly for people who are younger dentists who are looking for a mentor to help them advance their careers, maybe it's somebody who's in the office with you and you just find that you resonate, that you have a shared vision, mission, vision, and values. that would be somebody that maybe you're going to have a long-term association with. But if you're really just looking for, hey, I've got these very specific issues that I'm encountering right now, and I need some place to turn and need somebody to bounce ideas off of, is that truly mentorship, or is that just having somebody there for you? An understanding of, here's where I can turn to get information. And I know it's an unbiased resource that I can trust.
Yeah, there's some good distinctions there. How does the ADA find mentors?
A lot of it is on request. I mean, when I have dentists who are coming in and we literally have a link, if you want some specific information on, maybe a comprehensive evaluation of your personal situation, meaning maybe an older doctor who's thinking I'm 5 years from retirement, but I really don't understand the things that go into selling my practice. I don't really understand the decisions that I make today, how they might affect my eventual outcome 5 years from now or 10 years from now when I actually retire. That type of one-on-one consultative type services. We do have those. And then through the ADA, again, I'm going to come back to the member app. If you haven't downloaded it, please do. It's free to all ADA members. And there is a mentor chat feature. And that will hook you up with somebody, let's say, if you're looking to go into solo practice, maybe there's a solo practitioner who's signed up as, yes, I will be a mentor. So then they can connect and see if they actually have that shared mission, vision, and values. And I will tell you that we're doing some things to make that a little bit more seamless, maybe adding some personality type questions to try to navigate that first conversation, because that can be a little bit odd or uncomfortable. It's easier over chat. So, we're looking to make that much better than it is right now.
What a great resource, and such an important piece of, I think, anyone's success. Together we go farther, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you mentioned transitions, and I know there's lots of different transitions and within dentistry, but with your work focusing on those career transitions, what are some of the challenges that dentists face, and how, in your mind, can they best prepare for these challenges?
I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record here, so please forgive me. I think one of the biggest challenges is we don't take a step back and we don't really take the time to figure out what it is we really want from this transition. And unfortunately, many of our dentists are not especially good at self-assessment sometimes.
Well, we're so used to being assessed by others, right?
Absolutely. And when we have to take that step back and we actually have to look at our own situation and say, okay, I'm here because of the decisions that I've made, and I'm okay with it or I'm not okay with it. If I'm not okay with it, then I have to make changes in order to get where I want to go. So just as an example of what I'm talking about there, very often we have dentists who are, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to retire. I'm done with clinical dentistry. Okay, that's absolutely fine. You put in a great career. It's been wonderful to you. I want to sell my practice. Okay. Well, what do you, in your mind, doctor, think your situation is with your practice? Tell me a little bit about it. Oh, I have $1 million practice. Great. That sounds lovely. Tell me a little bit more. And then we come to find out that, yes, I had $1 million practice 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, I started slowing down and I haven't kept up with any of the technology. I have a great practice for me that now is worth $400,000 to somebody else. And it's difficult to get people to understand sometimes that, hey, maybe 6 years ago, you should have taken that step back, self-assessed where you are, what you want, where you want to go, and what you're going to need from this in retirement, because now you're kind of stuck. You're going to get 400,000, or you're going to have to continue to practice and grow the practice to get to the point where you want to be. So I think at each step, when you're looking to make any kind of transition and not just a buy, sell or something like that, I just think anytime you're at that point in your life when you are experiencing this, well, I need to do something, or I want to do this, or I want to travel, or I want to spend more time with my family, I want to, then maybe you need to take a step back and say, okay, now let's look at my whole situation, not just this one little piece, and decide how I'm going to do this in a way that makes sense and doesn't jeopardize my future needs. Mm-hmm. So again, I just think it comes down to understanding what it is that you want and need, and then tailoring your decisions to fit that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so valuable that you bring that up, and again, that the ADA provides those resources, because sometimes it is like that unbiased person that asks those questions, that gets you thinking about that stuff that maybe you wouldn't have thought of on your own. And I think that's really, just kind of, teasing out those things from somebody that is not used to diving that deep into their own self-assessment, right?
Not easy. I mean, it is not easy, and sometimes it's not especially fun.
But it's probably more fun to do it than to not do it.
It absolutely leads you to the right decisions. Mm-hmm. As long as you're true to yourself, you're going to make the right decisions for you. And that's really what I try to focus in. And, it's how I've tried to live my life as well.
Listening to, the example that you gave about, retiring dentists, and maybe they should have thought about that 6 years ago, it makes a very good case for lifelong membership of the ADA, because it will be useful at any point in your career. So if somebody is, listening to this podcast today, they're thinking about the ADA, it's maybe they've been a member previously, maybe they haven't joined yet. How can they learn more? Where would you point them in the direction of to get this started?
They can go to ada.org.
Mm-hmm.
Go to ada.org. Many people don't even realize how much valuable information is there. And you can, if you're on the fence and you're thinking about, well, okay, what you said earlier about having a voice at the national level to talk about insurance reform, but are they really doing anything? If you go to ada.org, you're going to find out that absolutely we are doing things on behalf of the profession. If you are one of those people who says, I don't know, I kind of like, I was a member before, but, I'm not really seeing what you're doing for me. Again, the careers guidance, the fact that we're willing to have one-on-one personal conversations with you to help you through some of the challenges that you're facing. I don't care what point in your career you're at. We're there for you. We're going to, sometimes it's just having a sounding board, and we're happy to be that for you. I would suggest that you take a look, take another look. If you're looking for the community, then, your local component, your local dental association, they're just so valuable. There's so many resources that are there. We just need to get the word out. And when people are on the fence, reach out to us. If we don't have it right there in front of you, we can probably figure out, okay, how can we help you? Mm-hmm. And we're going to be honest with you. If we can't help you, or if it's something that really falls outside of our purview, and there are many things that do, we're going to be honest with you about that as well. So there's no reason to sugarcoat anything. There's no reason to, we're there for dentists. Mm-hmm. We want to help you.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful to hear, especially sometimes being a dentist can feel isolating, lonely. and a bit scary. And so to have a resource like that and people on your side, and you here today sharing your story and your wisdom with us has been extremely valuable. So I just want to thank you for spending some time with us today on our podcast.
And I want to thank you for having me. This has been absolutely lovely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, listeners, please check out theada.org, and we hope you found some encouragement from today's podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of the Mentor Podcast. Bye.
Bye.
We adore our listeners. Connect with us at thementor.net. We